Right. Sarah, toughen up. You can't miss any more school. I couldn't believe it. I felt like I was living in some twisted alternate reality. At school, I pulled Alex aside. Dude, I need help. They've stopped my meds, my treatments, everything. Alex's eyes widened. What the hell? That's messed up. We gotta do something. I'm scared, Alex. What if they put me in foster care? That's when Mrs. Rodriguez, my favorite teacher, overheard us. Sarah, Alex, is everything okay? Before I knew it, I was spilling everything to Mrs. Rodriguez in her classroom. Her face got more horrified with every word. This is serious, Sarah. We need to get you help. But what can we do? It's my dad's word against mine, I said. Alex snapped her fingers. Evidence. We need to gather proof. Mrs. Rodriguez nodded. Good thinking, Alex. Sarah, can you secretly record what's happening at home? I felt a glimmer of hope. Yeah, I think I can manage that. For the next few weeks, I was like a secret agent in my own house. I recorded Veronica's snide comments, Dad's dismissals of my pain. It was tough hearing it all again, but I knew it was necessary. One day, I overheard Veronica on the phone while I was supposedly napping on the couch. Yes, I've transferred another $5,000. No, don't worry, Mark has no idea. He thinks it's all going to Sarah's treatments. My eyes shot open. She was stealing from us. I quickly hit record on my phone, praying she wouldn't notice. Of course I'll be careful. These idiots suspect nothing. I'll have the account drained in no time. I felt sick, and not just from my illness. How could Dad not see through her? The next day at school, I filled Alex and Mrs. Rodriguez in. She's stealing money too. This is insane. Alex was fuming. Mrs. Rodriguez looked grim. I've contacted your previous doctors. They're appalled at the situation and are willing to provide statements. I nodded, feeling a mix of relief and fear. Thanks, Mrs. R. I just hope it's enough. As we were planning our next move, a wave of dizziness hit me. The room started spinning. Sarah, you okay? Alex's voice sounded far away. I tried to respond, but my legs gave out. The last thing I heard was Mrs. Rodriguez yelling for someone to call 911. I woke up in the ER again. Dad was there, looking scared and confused. Veronica was trying to smooth talk the doctor. Oh, you know teenagers, always so dramatic. I'm sure it's just stress from school. The doctor wasn't buying it. Mrs. Thompson, your stepdaughter's condition is extremely serious. Without proper treatment, she could. Now, let's not exaggerate. Mark and I know what's best for our Sarah. I saw Dad's face change. It was like he was finally seeing Veronica clearly for the first time. But before he could say anything, I felt myself slipping away again. As consciousness faded, I heard Alex's voice. Don't worry, Sarah. We've got the evidence. We'll fix this. Just hang on. I wanted to tell them about the money, about everything, but the darkness was pulling me under. My last thought was, please let this plan work. I can't take much more of this. In the hospital, feeling like I'd been hit by a truck, Dad was there looking like he'd aged 10 years overnight. No sign of Veronica, though. Guess the witch finally flew off on her broomstick. Sarah, baby, I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you, Dad choked out. Before I could respond, the doctor stormed in, looking madder than a wet hen. Mr. Thompson, your daughter's condition is critical. The lack of treatment is borderline criminal neglect. I'm obligated to report this to the authorities. Dad looked like he was going to pass out. I didn't know. My wife said. That's when Alex and Mrs. Rodriguez burst in like they were leading a SWAT team. We've got proof, Alex shouted, waving her phone around. Mrs. Rodriguez, always the voice of reason, stepped in. Mr. Thompson, Sarah's been documenting everything, the neglect, the verbal abuse, and the financial fraud. Dad's eyes nearly popped out of his head. Financial fraud? What are you talking about? Alex pulled up the recordings on her phone. Veronica's voice filled the room, bragging about siphoning money from the family accounts. Dad's face went from shock to straight-up devastated. I can't believe this. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I've been such a fool. Just then, a nurse rushed in. There's been an accident. A woman named Veronica Thompson. My heart skipped a beat. Dad jumped up. What happened? She was in a high-speed collision. Apparently, she was trying to leave town with a large sum of cash. She's alive, but she's paralyzed from the neck down. The room went dead silent. I couldn't help but think, karma's ain't it? Dad looked like he was going to be sick. I need to go see her. Dad, after everything she did? He shook his head. No, I need to tell her it's over and that she's going to pay for what she did to you. As he left, Alex squeezed my hand. We did it, Sarah. You're safe now. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. My treatment started up again, and slowly but surely, I started feeling like myself. Dad filed for divorce faster than you can say gold digger, and the cops were all over Veronica like white on rice. A year later, I was packing for college. Can you believe it? There were days I didn't think I'd make it to my next birthday, let alone college. Dad knocked on my door. Need any help, kiddo? Nah, I got it. Thanks, though. Things were still a bit awkward between us, but we were working on it. Sarah, I know I've said it a million times, but I'm sorry. I should have believed you. I sighed. Dad, I get it. She played you. She played all of us. But you came through in the end, and that's what matters. He nodded, tears in his eyes. You're stronger than I ever knew. As I zipped up my last suitcase, Alex popped her head in. Ready to roll, college girl? I grinned. You bet. Let's blow this popsicle stand. As we loaded up the car, I couldn't help but feel grateful. Weird, right? But this whole mess showed me who my real friends were. It showed me how strong I could be. You okay? Alex asked, noticing my spaced out look. I nodded. Yeah, just thinking. You know, a year ago, I didn't think I had a future. Now, sky's the limit, baby. Dad gave me one last hug before we took off. You show them what you're made of, kiddo.